The Amazon rainforest, often called the lungs of the earth, is an immense tropical forest that covers about 5.5 million square kilometers, or 2.1 million square miles, across 9 South American countries, with the majority in Brazil. Its history is a long and complex tale of natural evolution, human habitation, European exploration, colonization, resource exploitation, and modern environmental concerns. It is also home to one of the most diverse ecosystems in the world, with millions of species of plants, animals and microorganisms, many of which are still undiscovered. Pre-colonial era indigenous peoples and early civilizations. Long before Europeans arrived, the Amazon had been home to numerous indigenous peoples for at least 11,000 years. Far from being a pristine wilderness, the Amazon was actively managed by its inhabitants, who practiced forms of agriculture, agroforestry, and even created fertile soils known as terra preta, or black earth, which allowed sustainable farming in an otherwise nutrient-poor environment. These soils are believed to have been created by adding charcoal, bone, and compost to the soil, a sophisticated process that enhanced the fertility of the land. Indigenous societies in the Amazon developed complex cultures with large settled populations, trade routes, and even cities. Archaeological findings, such as geoglyphs and remnants of ancient earthworks, suggest that the Amazon was a patchwork of managed ecosystems that supported large human populations. These early Amazonians cultivated crops like manioc, maize, and fruits, while also hunting and fishing in the rich, natural environment. Several indigenous groups, such as the Yanomami, Kayapo, and Ticuna, are still present today, although their numbers were drastically reduced by disease and violence following European colonization. These groups had unique languages, spiritual beliefs, and an intimate connection with the forest. For them, the Amazon was not just a resource, but a living, sacred entity that sustained life and required careful stewardship. European exploration and the Age of Discovery. The first European to set eyes on the Amazon River was Vicente Yanes Pinzon, a Spanish navigator who sailed up part of the river in 1500. However, the most famous early European explorer of the Amazon was Francisco de Orellana, a Spanish conquistador. In 1541, Orellana led an expedition that navigated the entire length of the Amazon River, from the Andes to the Atlantic Ocean, making him the first European to do so. Orellana's journey through the Amazon was fraught with hardship and danger. His crew had several encounters with indigenous tribes, some of which were hostile. According to Orellana's accounts, the explorers encountered warrior women who were said to be reminiscent of the Amazons of Greek mythology. Based on these reports, the river was named the Amazon. Orellana's expedition opened the door for further European exploration, but the dense forest and fierce resistance from indigenous peoples kept most explorers at bay for centuries. Nevertheless, European diseases like smallpox spread rapidly through the indigenous populations, decimating them even without direct contact. The rubber boom, wealth and exploitation. The late 19th and early 20th centuries saw the Amazon plunged into one of its most dramatic chapters, the rubber boom, from 1879 to 1912. With the Industrial Revolution in full swing, the demand for rubber skyrocketed. Rubber was essential for products like tires, hoses, and electrical insulation, and the Amazon was the only place in the world where the rubber tree, Hevea brasiliensis, naturally grew. The rubber industry brought enormous wealth to the region, particularly to cities like Manaus in Brazil and Iquitos in Peru. These cities became bustling hubs of trade and luxury. In Manaus, an opera house was built, grand mansions lined the streets, and European luxury goods poured in. However, this prosperity was built on the backs of indigenous peoples and rubber tappers who endured brutal working conditions. The most infamous figure during this period was Julio César Arana, a Peruvian rubber baron. Arana controlled large sections of the Peruvian Amazon and became notorious for his exploitation of the indigenous peoples who were forced into slavery. thousands of indigenous people died from overwork, disease or violent punishment as rubber production ramped up to meet global demand. The atrocities committed during this period were eventually exposed by British Consul Roger Casement, leading to international outrage. The rubber boom came to a sudden end when British botanist Henry Wickham smuggled rubber tree seeds out of Brazil in 1876. The seeds were successfully grown in British colonies in Southeast Asia, particularly in Malaysia and Ceylon, now Sri Lanka. These plantations quickly surpassed the Amazon in rubber production, causing the Amazonian rubber economy to collapse. Deforestation and development. The Amazon in the 20th century. The mid-20th century brought new challenges to the Amazon, as governments in Brazil, Peru, and other Amazonian countries sought to modernize their economies. In the 1960s and 1970s, Brazil's military dictatorship promoted large-scale development projects in the Amazon, aiming to exploit its natural resources and integrate the region into the national economy. The Trans-Amazonian Highway, completed in the early 1970s, opened up vast areas of previously inaccessible forest to settlers, logging companies and cattle ranchers. Deforestation accelerated dramatically. The Amazon's trees were felled for timber, and large areas of land were cleared for cattle ranching and agriculture, particularly for soy farming. Brazil became one of the world's largest exporters of beef and soy, but this came at the cost of vast tracts of the Amazon being cleared. Mining operations, especially for gold and other minerals, also took a heavy toll on the forest. This deforestation has had devastating consequences for the Amazon's biodiversity and for the indigenous peoples who call it home. Deforestation not only destroys the habitats of countless species, but also disrupts the water cycle and contributes to climate change by releasing the carbon stored in trees into the atmosphere. The biodiversity of the Amazon. The Amazon rainforest is one of the most biodiverse places on the planet. It is home to an estimated 390 billion individual trees, representing 16,000 different species. The forest is also home to over 2.5 million insect species, tens of thousands of plants, and around 2,000 birds and mammals. Some of the most iconic species found in the Amazon include the jaguar, known scientifically as Panthera onca. As the top predator in the Amazon, the jaguar is revered by many indigenous cultures and plays a critical role in maintaining the balance of the ecosystem. Then there's the harpy eagle, or Harpia harpyja. One of the largest and most powerful birds of prey in the world, the harpy eagle is known for its incredible strength and hunting prowess. We also have the pink river dolphin, scientifically named Inia geoffrensis. Found in the Amazon's rivers, this freshwater dolphin is a symbol of the rich aquatic life in the rainforest. And let's not forget the anacondas, particularly the green anaconda, or Eunectes murinus. Among the largest snakes in the world, the green anaconda is a fearsome predator found in the swamps and rivers of the Amazon. Despite its incredible biodiversity, the Amazon is still largely unexplored, and scientists believe there are many species yet to be discovered. However, the rapid rate of deforestation threatens to wipe out species before they are even known to science. Indigenous resistance and modern conservation efforts. Indigenous peoples have long resisted the exploitation and destruction of the Amazon. In Brazil, the constitution recognizes the land rights of indigenous groups, but in practice these rights are often violated by illegal logging, mining and land grabbing. Indigenous activists such as Chico Mendes and Davi Kopenawa have become international symbols of the fight to protect the Amazon. Mendes, a rubber tapper and environmentalist, was assassinated in 1988 for his activism against deforestation. In recent decades, there has been a growing international movement to protect the Amazon. Environmental organizations, indigenous groups and governments have worked together on initiatives such as the creation of protected areas, sustainable development projects and efforts to reduce illegal deforestation. However, progress has been slow and the Amazon continues to face many challenges. In 2019, massive fires in the Amazon drew international attention to the plight of the rainforest, prompting calls for stronger conservation efforts. The Amazon and climate change. The Amazon plays a crucial role in regulating the Earth's climate. It acts as a massive carbon sink, absorbing millions of tons of carbon dioxide each year. However, as deforestation accelerates, the forest's ability to sequester carbon is diminishing. If deforestation continues, scientists warn that the Amazon could reach a tipping point where it can no longer sustain itself and could degrade into a savanna. Such a transformation would have catastrophic consequences for global climate patterns. The Amazon's loss would release vast amounts of carbon into the atmosphere, exacerbating climate change. Additionally, the loss of the Amazon's moisture would disrupt rainfall patterns across South America and beyond, potentially affecting agricultural productivity in the region and even as far away as North America. Conclusion. The history of the Amazon is a story of resilience, exploitation, and environmental significance. From the early indigenous civilizations that shaped the forest to the modern threats of deforestation and climate change, the Amazon has been at the center of many global environmental debates. Its future depends on the balance between development and conservation, respect for indigenous rights, and global efforts to combat climate change. The Amazon's vast biodiversity, its critical role in the Earth's climate system, and its cultural heritage make it one of the most important natural regions on the planet. Protecting the Amazon is not only essential for the people and species that call it home, but for the entire planet.